Trevor Noah is suing a surgeon who he claims left him with serious personal injury. I have looked and I cannot find what the actual injury is. They're not giving a lot of details, but we get enough right now. 37-year-old Daily Show host filed a lawsuit against the hospital for special surgery, and Dr. Riley J. Williams charging that they were careless in failing to treat and care for him in a careful and skillful manner following a procedure he had last year. While Noah's suit does not explain exactly what was being treated, it does say that the defendants were negligent in diagnosing him during the surgery, the follow-up visits. And his attorney says that his injuries are permanent, severe, and grievous, leaving him sick, sore, lame, and disabled, and causing a loss of enjoyment of life.
Well, if you're lame and disabled, you would not tend to enjoy life as much. Lame means can't use his legs or having difficulty
lame
with
means
his
nerd.
legs.
It's the host of Daily Show, after all.
Yeah, I mean, lame kind of turned into what retarded turned into.
Yeah.
Retarded just meant back. Now it means retarded, and lame
like
turned
dumb,
into lame.
Yeah. Mute.
Yeah. But, well, yeah, if the kid was retarded, it was the opposite. Well, we had advanced students.
Right.
This would be the opposite of an
forward.
advanced student, retard.
Right.
But lame, like he's having trouble getting around.
That's what they're inferring. And you'd be right to say that, lame usually means difficulty walking.
Unable to walk without difficulty as a result of injury or illness.
Yeah.
That's lame.
So I think they're probably keeping a rather tight lip on it now that there's a lawsuit.
But what could Trevor Noah get up and walk around today? Is he taping a show?
I mean, he's always at a desk. How do we know how he's getting to that desk?
True.
So, I'll keep an eye on that. But so far, we don't know exactly what happened. Some good news about that Haitian orphanage, that violent Haitian gang, remember, that kidnapped those 17 members of the U.S. Christian missionary. We know. Let's see, it was probably 2 weeks ago. A bunch of them were released. Now all of them are released. They were abducted by the 400 Mazawa gang while visiting the orphanage outside of Port-au-Prince. The gang threatened to kill everyone.
Can it just be the Mazawa gang? Is there a 250 Mazawa gang and a 300?
It's a local.
Are there
another 122?
Are there like 399 other Mazawa gangs running around?
Just these guys, just the Sharks and the Jets.
Yeah.
So 5 were released last time we talked about this. Now they've all been released. Unclear if any ransom was paid, but they did ask for $17 million.
I like it. It's specific.
Yeah.
It was $1 million per person, I guess.
So, yeah.
Makes sense.
And I listened to this sort of expose on like what the hell is going on with Haiti since, we were talking about it.
If I was abducted with a group and it was $1 million a head, I would try to convince the kid next to me that actually they were paying 1.5 for me. They will not be this specific, but I know you're worth $500K.
Yeah, it's 17 out at the end of the day.
It adds up.
It doesn't break down to
it's like if you have a nice car collection, you take the whole thing to auction. They don't all sell for the exact same price.
Right.
You got some duds in there.
And you would do this just to further fuck with the guy that's being held hostage?
Yeah, just making conversation, passing the day, busting some chops. That's how
he's a buy one, get one.
Orphans love their chops busted.
He's a BOGO.
Catch your lobster, we can get him.
I was listening to this expose about Haiti and about the government, and they still don't know who killed the leader of Haiti. And so they said, so we just decided to do a little deep dive on him.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to say this.
Yeah.
But I hope Lieutenant Dan isn't listening. But whenever someone goes, it's not the people. The people are the greatest. The people, it's the government. It's the government. I'm always like, well, what part of Sweden's the government coming from? I mean, love them or hate them, the government is of the people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're made up of Haitians.
That's true.
Maybe the people. Use a little help.
It's interesting you say that because the Moise the leader that got assassinated, his origin story is he was just a regular peasant guy and he rose through the ranks and he used to be celebrated. But then you dig a little deeper and I might be getting this wrong, this is from memory, but his brother-in-law was a big cartel guy, and they started going to these eel villages, like eel fishing villages around Haiti, because apparently that's quite the export. Lot of drugs coming in and out. A lot of black market stuff go through the eel villages.
Inside the eels?
Yes, that apparently the leader's brother-in-law had a little something to do with.
Now, do they have a new president?
Would it matter?
I don't think so.
I think they're in a holding pattern.
Yeah.
Inside of an eel would be a good place to smuggle drugs. Because who on earth is going to, at customs, want to grab that fucking eel and examine it?
When I was a kid, the electric eel was all the rage.
Absolutely.
All the cartoons, you put a light bulb in your mouth, you'd grab an electric eel, the light bulb would light up.
The screaming eels from Princess Bride. Let's do a complete 180 because we've had almost no Christmas stories.
Another reason why eels, like everyone's so terrified of eels, because it's really
inconceivable.
The scariest thing on land are snakes, but the sea is always scarier than the land.
Yes.
So this is the snake that's in the sea.
Yes.
Which makes it even scarier because all the aquatic creatures are always the scariest. But yeah, eels. In the movie The Deep with Jacqueline Bisset and Nick Nolte. The big it was one of those highlight movies before everyone had porn and all that stuff. She was in a white T-shirt. We talked to Mr. Skin about it. But there were drugs, and they were diving for drugs, and there was a scary eel that was like guarding the drugs.
All the tropes.
Trained eel.
I don't know.
Maybe they laid the eggs in there.
I don't know. You can look up the slug line for The Deep, but there was a scary eel in that movie, and Jacqueline Bisset had a bikini bottom, but not the top.
Oh, God bless her.
She went in her white T-shirt.
Yeah, right.
And then Nick Nolte was like at the height of his powers. He was this hunky blonde guy with a mustache. And I think Robert Shaw was in this thing. Was Robert Shaw in The Deep? And if so, he went right off of Jaws into the deep. But scary eel in a cave. There's morphine down there. They were going for drugs. I think
the eels are high.
Yeah. Sorry. You got anything? It's a fish. They're diving for drugs. Used to be enough just to watch underwater footage when I was a kid. Like that was exciting enough. That idea that there was a camera that they could put underwater. It's filming a giant eel.
Giant teeth.
Is that Nolte?
Oh,
bit his goddamn head off.
Giant eel.
They're still taking pictures.
Yeah, it's on burst.
Yeah, Nolte's trapped. Cameras shooting pictures. Gets rid of the regulator.
Oh no!
Oh, here it comes.
Gets rid of the tank. He's gonna swim to the
hooked.
surface.
He's hooked.
He's hooked. Yeah, that's Nolte. He's diving. Oh, is that Jacqueline Bisset?
It's a manly hand in
that's
Jacqueline
a 4-hour
Bisset.
man.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that's Robert. See if Robert Shaw was in The Deep. He was like the two biggest ocean movies of the 70s.
That thing is huge.
And then the giant eel swam away. Yeah, that's Robert Shaw.
Wow.
All right, so we got it.
Okay.
You guys are all caught up on The Deep from
Understood.
1977 and a half.
Understood, and something that slithers like a snake underwater sucks, and we can all agree. However, we can wrap our minds around that concept. Have you ever seen like one of those snakehead fish that waddle and walk on land?
Yes.
That will fuck you up.
Oh.
Mud skippers, snakehead fish.
Yeah.
It is very unsettling.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Scary.
Yeah. So let's do a little Christmas talk because we haven't really gotten to that. Most families, we celebrate and we leave the cookies out and the milk for Santa, the carrots for the reindeer. Apparently, we're the only country that does that. So I thought it'd be fun to tell you what other countries like to leave out for Santa this time of year.
It's a Keebler holiday.
For real. This is a Toll House holiday. Australia, they leave out a nice icy cold beer for Santa.
Oh, nice.
That's very typical. Sweden leaves a nice coffee. Denmark leaves a rice pudding. Netherlands, the kids aren't interested in Santa. They leave hay and carrots for Sinterklaas, which is the horse.
Well, this is Switzerland?
Sinterklaas the horse. Yeah, in Netherlands.
I'm going to blow your guys' mind.
All right.
I have a Swiss friend who hosts every year a Sammy Klaus and Sinterklaas party.
So
a dinner,
really?
where she tells about the traditions of Switzerland and Western Middle Europe, and how Santa Claus, Sinterklaas, or Sammy Klaus would come and leave either coal, because that was in the old days. It was how you signaled you've been bad. You're going to work in the coal mines.
I see.
So we got coal in your stocking.
That's what that meant.
Right.
That's where it came from. Mm-hmm. Huh? I just went to it.
That's amazing. So you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
And France, they leave biscuits out for Santa, carrots for the reindeer. Not stockings. The kids leave treats in their shoes. United Kingdom, you get a nice meat pie. Ireland, a pint of Guinness, and Chile, a rum-filled sponge cake for Santa. And if I remember correctly, a David Sedaris book, I can't remember which one, but there was a chapter called 6 to 8 Black Men, and it was the retelling of the Archduke of somewhere. That was their Santa Claus. He would not come with reindeer, but he would come with 6 to 8 black men who they called his friends. Doubtful. And if you were bad, they would beat you and stuff you in a sack and take you with them.
Yeah, that's Pedro Negro.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look at Brian.
I only learned this 2 nights ago.
Wow.
And finally, if you have a crazy light display up, God bless. Everybody likes to see it.
Basically, all of Christmas internationally is just about trying to get kids not to be such fuck-up douches the
it's
rest
a warning.
of the year.
Krampus.
You'll get shit you want versus the shit beat out of you if you just fucking play it right.
Coal mines.
A lot of carrot, a lot of stick.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the neighbor, you do the over-the-top Christmas display.
Yeah. It's the opposite of Easter. Easter's just like, walk around, find some eggs, eat some chocolate. We don't really connect a behavior to it.
And what does that have to do with Easter and the rising of Christ?
Very little.
I don't know, but I do like that that Christmas is very much toward the beginning of the year, and it's like, get your shit together for this year.
That's right.
I mean, do you guys remember Santa and the list and naughty and nice?
No.
And you don't.
No.
But
I remember being extra nice in December because that was your last chance to get on the nice list. You know what I mean? I'm like 6 years old. I didn't talk back to my parents as much.
Right.
How long did you go believing this?
I was still in my old house, so probably 7, I'm guessing.
I have a recollection of living in Philadelphia, or maybe it was Seacane, Pennsylvania, somewhere around there. And my grandma came out to visit, and we had this old house that had this, I think we just rented old houses, and they had this attic with the window that was in the dormer. And we went up to sit and wait for Santa.
Nice.
Probably like snowing or whatever.
You and Grandma?
Back in the day, yeah.
That's nice. That's
I know.
sweet.
It was me and Grandma, probably me, my sister, and Grandma. We went up there and waited around for Santa.
I'm shocked that your grandmother let you believe that this was happening.
Less
She
effort.
ruined that
Way
for
less
you.
effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good Christmas. I got like a pedal truck and I remember that was a big harvest year. Something I don't know. My dad must have been gainfully employed or not arguing with my mom or something. It was like,
are you gonna start crying, you little bitch?
I was like 5, maybe 6. It was a good haul. It was like a good Christmas year. Yeah.
That was your first and last.
Well, then we got to the here's $10. We're going to lean the branch against the wall.
Right, the rubber
It all
tree.
came undone.
We always got to choose, do we want 8 little presents, for 8 nights of Hanukkah, or one big grand finale, for the last night. And I've always been a very low risk person. I can't risk getting nothing and then being disappointed by the last present. So I always went with the 8 little presents.
Oh, really?
Every
Because
time.
you might get 2 real good ones out of there versus like you put all your eggs in a big basket.
And I can't, I'd be devastated. The one time I chose the big present, I did get a Rainbow Bright and Sprite, if you remember the little set.
They're still big.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I was exactly opposite, which is I didn't want tchotchkes. I
Yeah.
didn't want to get another shrimp devainer. I just start.
I'm that way now.
I just start collecting money from everyone.
Right. That makes sense.
Smart.
So let me just give a final warning. If this is you, be very careful. There's still a couple days to get fined. You could draw an $11,000 fine from the FAA if your Christmas display is too ostentatious/dangerous.
Oh, by like a runway or something?
Yep, the FAA is warning that if you have one of those laser light projectors and it's pointed too far up, pilots report being temporarily blinded by those lights when they're directed to fly in the sky. If it's a mistake, they'll give you a warning. If it goes unheeded, you'll get an $11,000 fine. Please don't do this on the flight path from Burbank to Portland.
I was thinking the flight path into LAX, you fly right over SoFi. During the 4th of July, that is fireworks nation.
Yep.
Like, I've never heard it. I've never heard them warn against all the backyard bootleg. By the way, the backyard and the bootleg stuff, they've upped their game, man. I don't know if it's a porous border or what's going on, but it ain't sparklers or flowers or snakes out in the driveway anymore. This stuff's getting some altitude.
Yes. I wonder if it's because that neighborhood is a lot of small cities like Inglewood, Carson, Hawthorne. You know what I mean? It's not LA proper. So I wonder if they're allowed to use like the nice
like unincorporated cities.
Yeah.
I don't think it's allowed. I don't think the backyard display is allowed anywhere. I think they just do it. You know, these are the same ones who are like, don't fire your gun into the air. If that bullet comes down, I don't think there's a zone where it's okay. There's just, I've lived there my whole life. There was no fireworks, but they light it up.
Yeah.
But if you're on the glide path and you're coming in, you're over all those neighborhoods. So, but commercial guys have thoughts about that.
Yeah. There's any number of helicopter traffic guys I could get you if you're interested in that conversation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you let me know. We were talking about Dolly earlier, and with good reason, she is now the recipient of 3 Guinness World Records. 75 years old, country star.
Never met the woman, but go ahead.
You. Broke the records for the most decades, 7, by the way, and the most #1 hits, 25, on the Billboard U.S. Hot Country Song Chart for female artist. She also broke one of her own records, which was the most hits on the U.S. Hot Country Song Charts by a female artist, with a whopping 109 hits. Now, remember, she's a songwriter, too, so she has a wide net. They did an 8-minute interview. I'll spare you. Here's a really quick clip of Dolly talking about why she continues to stay relevant and who still appreciates her.
How old is Dolly?
75.
112.
How dare you?
Wow.
So many of the people that are following my career now that say that I have been an inspiration are usually young women that really are looking at how I have run my life and my business. So that's been an inspiration that makes me proud. And then a lot of them just like the songs I've written, which that really makes me proud because I take myself more serious as a songwriter than anything else. And to know that all these younger people, this young generation, they're still finding my songs and loving them and still treating me with great respect, thinking that I'm still important. That's also a very humbling feeling, and I'm very proud of that.
Gina, is that the closest we've gotten to seeing Dolly's arms?
You know what? Funny you should mention that because I thought, I guess that puts the debate to bed if she's sleeved and tatted. But
she's wearing mesh.
She could easily have worn tan sleeves.
I think she was tracked. I thought she was tracked up. Shooting the Jews.
She does say she has various tattoos wherever she's had procedure scarring. So I don't know, maybe a nip, a tuck, and she puts a little butterfly over the incision.
Is right. Probably some scarring around those nips.
Yeah, it's possible.
Well, she's kind of my argument for what we're talking about when I was talking about feeling like country's coming back.
Yeah.
Dolly Parton was a kind of a punchline back when, not too long ago, and now she's turned into greatest living American.
Yeah.
She married to the same dude for all these years?
Carl Dean for at least 50 years.
Really?
And he's very private and never likes to be on camera and doesn't go out on tour with her.
And does he have a profession, you think?
Yes, I think he was in banking. He's
I love an earner and a mule. Like, I love the idea, just hit the road, baby, and then I'll be here to count the cash when you come in the front door of the cabin.
Bring us to work with me at the bank.
Definitely not a entertainment guy. Like, he definitely has like a civilian job. Let's switch to another artist, Lady Gaga. She has
married since '66. Crazy.
It's pretty great. Lady Gaga had an unusual addition to her entourage while she was filming House of Gucci. Did you see that?
I did.
I heard it was good.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't that good?
It's probably in the 60s Rotten Tomatoes, maybe low 60s. There's some good things about it, for sure. There's also some like, holy crap, this movie is almost 3 hours long.
Oh, God. And I read an article about the woman who was doing speech for a lot of the people to give them an Italian accent, could not figure out why Lady Gaga was doing a Russian accent.
The accents are all over the place. Everyone's in their own movie.
Well, she also added, she didn't have somebody teaching her how to do the accent, but she did have a personal psychiatric nurse on set. Because,
by the way, you want to know what a movie snob my son is?
I hear it.
I heard the new Spider-Man movie was good.
It's excellent. I saw it yesterday.
And
it's really very good.
I said, you want to go see that? He said, last night. He said, yeah. And then he looked it up and he's like, the only seats available are the first row.
I'm 100% with him. 100%.
I figured you would because you're snobs.
Yeah.
So I said,
in the front row for 3 hours.
He's going out of town, and I was like, all right, fuck it. I mean, I'll do the front row if you want. And he's like, no, can't do.
No,
snob.
Kids have standards. I totally get it. God bless you, Sonny.
I also said, though, I grew up in a time where the front row of the movie theater, they didn't really, you were shit out of luck if you're in the front row. They just designed them that there was a front row, but you couldn't watch the movie. They worked it out a little better now. I mean, mathematically, they pulled it back a little, and they've done something where the front row wasn't unusable. But still, he said he turned his nose up
and
at that.
it gives some people like vertigo. Like it's just you're too up in that shit.
And then he went out and saw it with a friend of his.
Oh, that son of a bitch.
So I don't know.
It's like the time he's trying to convince you that your movie wasn't on the service.
He's looking at his phone, going, "Oh, sorry, old man, just front row, no can do." And then next thing you know, he's out with his buddy watching the movie.
I think you know which way the wind's blowing.
I got ditched.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So let's get going with this psychiatric nurse because I need you to hear this.
Kids ditch you at some point?
Never.
My daughter ditched me like 4.5 years ago. Now Sonny's getting into the ditching.
But I just got this kid. I don't want him to ditch me.
They're going to start ditching.
Him.
It's coming. It's coming.
All right. Well, Lady Gaga tells Variety that playing the accused murder plotter, Patrizia Gucci, took a toll on her psychiatrically. She said, I brought the darkness with me home because her life was dark. To combat that, she says, I had a psychiatric nurse with me towards the end of the filming. I sort of felt like I had to. I felt that I was safer. It was safer for me. Gaga went on to give her own self-diagnosis. She said, I don't think that any actor should push themselves to that limit. And I ask myself all the time why I do it. It's not a secret that I'll do anything for art.
She was good. I mean, not great, but good.
Do you think she needed to be on a 24-hour 5150?
Don't be ridiculous.
It's called acting. I don't know why.
Who was just talking about that? Oh, there was an article about Jeremy Strong, who you've seen in lots of stuff. He's on Succession, and about how he's a little much and he's over the top. And I think he worked with Dustin Hoffman or one of those guys and was like, have you tried acting?
Yeah.
You know, just like go home and don't take it with you.
I always find it peculiar when people put their weird emotional weaknesses out to the universe. Like, we had to act, and I needed a trauma nurse with me because I've had to act. Like, okay, maybe that's true, but it makes you sound really fragile and freaky and weird.
Maybe acting isn't for you.
It's funny you mentioned that. Did you say, I was half listening, sorry, Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was him, but.
Okay, because that's funny, because Dustin Hoffman famously was in Marathon Man, where he had the tooth torture scene with Sir Laurence Olivier, maybe the greatest actor of all time. And Dustin Hoffman's this method actor from the new school, right? He's 30 years old, or whatever he is. And he's like staying up all night trying to get himself physically like, in shape.
That was in the article. Yes.
Yeah, and Olivier is like, you can always try acting.
Right.
Yeah, it's a pretty famous line.
Whatever,
you know what? That story was in the article, so maybe that's who I'm talking about. But it was in the Jeremy Strong article because that's kind of his style.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it would be nice.
Marathon Man was like a 70s film, and Dustin Hoffman's just running, but at some point, the evil dentist got hold of him. And that's all you really needed back in the day to go see a movie, like one weird scene.
That's all anyone remembers.
That's all.
Is it safe?
He's in a dental chair and someone's going at him. Yeah.
That's the movie?
No, it's a scene in the movie. You're torturing him.
Isn't Marathon Man also a Schwarzenegger movie?
That's the Running Man.
That's
Gina. God
the
damn
Running
it.
Man.
It's time to go home.
Dad is just Sub-Zero.
Thank God this year is over. This is fun for the kids. A staff member at a Washington, D.C. elementary school is under investigation after allegedly telling the third grade students to reenact incidents from the Holocaust. And that's according to the D.C. public school system. So the instructor allegedly assigned specific roles, and I think we know where this is going, to their library period in their library class, casting one as Hitler, directing students to dig mass graves, simulating shooting victims.
Can I say this about the Holocaust and
I don't know.
the reenactments?
Oh, can you?
And a lot of slavery talk. Like, hey, if we don't coach everyone up, it's going to happen again. Sure. I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like there's a good chance here we're going to reenact slavery or dust off slavery and or the Holocaust. I feel like we could go over it in a book, chapter. You know what I mean? Lots of shit has happened.
Touch on it.
Well, I'll get coached up. Yeah. I watched all 8 episodes of Roots. Had a grandfather who escaped the Holocaust. He gave me he tuned me up on what they were doing over there. And I got it.
We don't need to play make-believe in library class.
No, I got the info. Not going to reenact
Well, it seems like the teacher may have known they were up to something because they did ask all of the children not to tell anyone about this. So, of course, that's the first thing they do is they tell their homeroom teacher. This instructor placed on leave pending the investigation.
Was the person have some connection to the Holocaust? They have relatives?
Who knows?
Bougie, perhaps? Uncle Gabi?
Professor Kleinschmidt. Must have to wonder.
Well, I can't imagine this is happening today because back when I was in 3rd grade, they would show, especially in Hebrew school, which I would go to after school on 3 days a week, very faces of death shit, violent old footage and
Shoah.
Yeah, and really, and my parents were getting divorced. My home life was a mess. I had
this was your escape.
We were in a subterranean school, so we would just see out half the window into the parking lot. It was cold. It was Kansas. It was dark, and then they'd flip on the fucking VCR, and it's bodies being dumped into graves. And what I would do, my thing was, I always had to hold my house key because that was my Dumbo feather. I'll be okay if I know at some point I can get home. And I would have stigmata, ironically. And I was terrified. I can't imagine them doing that to kids today.
Wow.
8, 9-year-olds. Hebrew school.
In a bunker.
Yes.
Hitler's bunker.
By the time they flipped it on in 7th grade, I had seen that shit 4 years ago.
Boring.
I know.
Yeah, I got all the stories from Grandpa who fled, but his sister was left behind, and they had his uncle was there, and everyone in his village was rounded up. So I got the
we're good. I
got the lowdown, early and often.
Yeah, and then that other horrible story, which we've talked about before. Now the kids going on the fucking, the birthright trips and the March of the Living, which you go to Poland for a week and then Israel for a week. And the selfies and the jump up and do a big, a double jump and woo! Because that's what kids
You're at
do.
Aunt Frank's house.
Yes.
Exactly. So let's put a cap on that. Do we have time for one more?
When it comes to Anne Frank, I'm still
lukewarm.
No, I am more angry. I'm less angry at the Nazis than I am at the guy who dropped the dime.
Right. The neighbor.
Nazis were doing what Nazis do.
Right. That's what Nazis do.
You could have kept walking.
The neighbor's like, hey, I can get an extra loaf of bread if I just tell him there's a 13-year-old cowering up in the attic here. Well, I know the war's about over, but...
she was afraid for her life anyway,
Always a little room in the oven. Come on now. Oh, I'll take that bread.
It's a poor choice of words.
Yeah, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I would watch a movie on the dude who dropped the dime on Anne Frank.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have, I feel like I should know this, do we have info on
probably not.
Who did that?
No, I remember, I don't, but it wasn't like the Nazi, Gestapo went and found her. I think they were told someone's up there.
Right.
Right.
See if a quick Google search yields anything.
And then Christoph Waltz showed up and he wanted some buttermilk. And the rest is history.
Otto Frank suggested the culprit was Willem von Maren, a warehouse employee who was in on the secret.
Yeah.
We'll see. This is something that I think you not only will appreciate, but I think you might want to be the tool czar around here and perhaps establish something like this in Los Angeles. This is happening in Bridgeport, Illinois. They've got a tool library. More than 2,500 tools on the shelves for any of the 1,500 members of the library to use. It has grown so fast that it's run out of room for donations. The whole idea is you provide a bunch of tools for projects, you check them out, you use them, you bring them back.
Yeah. When that dude who made a big withdrawal from the tool library shows up to add a deck on to your house, send him packing. You don't want that fucker anywhere near your shit.
Right.
I don't trust the guy who doesn't have his own tools.
Not fresh tools.
More for DIYers, I would assume.
Yeah. I never really... now, do you have to pay or subscribe?
You're
or
a member. It's like a library card.
Oh, man.
You don't like it?
I don't know. I feel like tools are abundant, ubiquitous, and pretty cheap these days. I feel like there's some pride in ownership. These guys are going to have snot on the chucks, you know. The batteries are never going to be charged.
Question: do you think this is more for chicks who have a newfound interest in DIY crafting, like from Pinterest?
I don't know. I feel like people, if you're a homeowner, especially if you're a homeowner, a lot of people are like, maybe I'll get the cordless drill, but how often would I use it? It's $69, bitch. Just go ahead and get it. You have a house. There's a garage attached to it. Just go get a couple of rudimentary tools and have them there. Well, I could borrow the tape measure from my neighbor. You know, my father-in-law has a tape measure. There's the
you
tape
have scissors. You have tape.
Yeah,
right.
Tape measures are $6 now. Just go get a 25-footer, please.
So I think the takeaway is fuck this tool library.
It'd be a fun place to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like the angriest I've ever made another individual is doing Ask Mr. Hardware and walking around a hardware store and talking to guys who had like a 4-in-1 screwdriver or a wrapper stapler or something, a hammer stapler or something, and just explaining that's too much tool for you. And how weird and indignant and challenged.
It's pretty humiliating.
But if I was the librarian at the tool place, anyone who tried to check anything out, I'd just go, we understand. We don't want you to hurt yourself. So obviously, I'm not going to frisk you or ask for your contractor's license or anything. But I don't know. What's the difference between a panhead and a flathead screw?
Just give me my fucking tool, man.
Maybe a little too much tool for you, sir. Perhaps you...
be more comfortable.
Fine, you'd be more comfortable in the hand tools. This thing has a blade and it turns. It's powered.
That's a good point.
You take out an eye.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what system I bet they use to check stuff out? The DeWalt decimal system.
Oh, solid. All right, we're going out on that, Gina.
I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina. That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right. Well, Portland coming up, man. Is that tomorrow and Thursday? Yeah, if you want to come on out, 4 shows, like we said. Doing a earlier show at Brea, December 31st, doing a New Year's Eve show, stand-up show there if you want to come out and say hi and that. Wow. You go to Carolla.com for all the live shows, and Shooter Jennings and Jason Boland, and The Light Saw Me. The Light Saw Me, available wherever you listen to finer music. And until next time, Adam Carolla for Shooter Jennings and Jason Boland, Gina Grad, Ball Bryan saying mahalo. And I said it's no different than like a fine artist. Like, what if you just sat down and you got your easel and your canvas out and you put a bowl of fruit down and you painstakingly painted this bowl of fruit and you sat there for all this time perfecting it, and then at the very end, a black guy with a huge cock just came in and just jizzed all over your canvas.